Directors to order on this Tuesday, March 8th, 2022 at 7:01 p.m. I'll take the roll. Mr. Albert. Mr. Badger.
Here.
Dr. Beery.
Here.
Dr. LeCrone.
Here.
Dr. Mathers. Here. Mr. Snell.
Here.
Mr. Ulmer.
Here.
And Mr. Young.
Here.
Okay. With that, I invite all those present to rise and join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get moving on the agenda tonight, we have the architect is here, and we're pleased that he's here. He isn't noted officially on the agenda anywhere, but we'll have him right around agenda item 3. At that time, he'll present. The board may have questions for him, but there will be no discussion, opining, deliberation, etc. by the board on the topic. At that time, we may ask informational type of questions, and that's it. And then after public comment, if the board at some point wants to pick up the topic, the board can do that after public comment. So with that, we'll move now to recognitions and presentations. Is there anything from the district that we'd like to recognize or present or address, speak to? Okay, hearing nothing, then student representatives, do you have anything for us tonight?
We do. Would you like us to go up to the microphone?
We certainly would love that, yes.
Okay, so I'm bad with dates. Early last month, I stated that academic decathlon was going on down to Penns Valley to compete in the district competition. And after that meet, academic decathlon took first place out of 10 schools and is advancing to the state competition, which is being held in Satterton, PA on Thursday. 9 students will be...
Friday. We leave Thursday.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I lost it, oh no. The art show, the celebration of the arts, that will be held in April. I do not exactly remember the date. I believe it's early April. Second? Okay. Wizard of Oz, the Theater Arts Club is holding the Wizard of Oz next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. PSPA journalistic competition was held on 30th.
It's going to be held on 30th.
I am sorry. Monday is going to be held on 30th. Spring sports are starting up again, and formal was recently held.
All right, so we also had cheerleaders going to Disney, and they placed 9th place, so that was pretty good. The boys basketball just got into the district tournament. Aiden Connor and Randy McKenna both got accepted into regional band. Melissa Reeder, Christian Smith, and Lainey Messina are all going to district choir. The psychology students are going to Leiter to try to learn how kids learn. Kind of weird whenever you think about it. And Key Club is going to the district convention.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, with that then, we'll move on to the reading of the minutes. We have the Tuesday, February 1st special meeting, minutes from the Tuesday, February 8th regular meeting, and then minutes from the Tuesday, February 22nd work session. So do we have a motion to approve those minutes as presented?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Okay.
Gotta make notes tonight, folks, sorry. Any corrections or anything that needed amended or anything like that? Okay. Hearing nothing then, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, ayes have it then. Okay, at this time now, we'll have a presentation from the district architect, Mr. Scott Cousin, and he has a presentation regarding heating and cooling at the elementary buildings.
Yeah, so I apologize for our signal crossing and not being on the agenda, but maybe what I'll suggest is the same presentation is given at the work session, so proper notice is given for anyone who wants to
We appreciate
be
that.
part of that.
Yeah.
Sebastian, I might need. I can put it on the flash drive, but I don't have a flash drive. Oh, there it goes. Acting slow tonight. Okay, so when we presented our last, at the last meeting, a request was made to look at doing HVAC or air conditioning only at the two schools. So that's kind of what we're here to show. So we're calling this option 8, which is HVAC upgrades. We're calling it HVAC upgrades because essentially to add air conditioning, it wouldn't make sense to just add air conditioning, not upgrade the other outdated systems. And I think I mentioned before, our engineer couldn't be here tonight. This is mainly engineering stuff, so certainly we'll try to make sure he's at the next work session so that if you do have detailed engineering questions, that he can answer them. But and Joe can chime in too, because Joe had very lengthy conversations with him about this option. So there'd be HVAC upgrades to low sock, HVAC upgrades to lighter, and you would maintain your current grade configuration. So you don't have to read all this, but this is just a description of what the HVAC upgrades would be. It would be, once again, replacing the entire HVAC system to provide air conditioning, and of course, with that, you're replacing the heating system, and it talks about what type of system would be put in place at each school. With that, of course, active humidity control and humidity issues at those schools. And once again, I'll share this presentation with everyone afterwards so you can read through it in more detail. A lighter is very similar. Now, lighter's system isn't as old as Loyalsock, but once again, when you look at a cost analysis of what it takes to add air conditioning versus upgrade the whole system, the cost is very close, and it doesn't make any sense to do all that work without addressing the rest of the system. Joe, anything you want to add there? Okay. So from a cost standpoint, at Loyalsock, you can see there the renovation costs. And when I step back to some of the scope of the work, so I talked about it before, when you go and replace an HVAC system, obviously you're above the ceilings, you're placing new ductwork or refrigerant pipe or whatever it might be for that system, so you're taking down the ceilings. We don't include any cost for lighting replacement in here, so it's just basically HVAC, replacement of ceilings from a general construction standpoint to access the ceilings, and then electrical upgrades. So I think I misspoke at the last meeting. Loyalsock is the school that needs the electrical upgrade. I think at the last meeting I said it was lighter. Loyalsock needs the electrical upgrade. Lighter is adequate for the electrical capacity. So at Loyalsock, you would need that electrical upgrade, and the room, if you want to call it electrical room, more like a closet, is not large enough to hold the equipment. So this would have a small addition to handle that electrical equipment. So you'll see there we have the renovation cost at the top for the HVAC and ceilings, and then you have the addition construction cost, about $100,000 for the electrical room. the regular soft costs that we previously spoke about with all the other options. So Lowestoft ends up being a $3.7 to $4.1 million project, and Leiter is a $5.5 to $6 million. And of course, Leiter being a larger building, you can expect that it's going to be a larger cost. So the total for option 8 would be 9.2 to 10.1 million. So similar to all the other options, we put together a list of pros and cons, and these are very similar to what you've seen to some of the other similar options, like I believe options 1 and 3. But so this is one of the positives. This is the lowest construction cost option, and it also maintains your neighborhood schools. Some of the cons, you've seen these before. It doesn't address any of the educational functional deficiencies at either of the schools. It does not address all the existing conditions at either of the schools. There's a lack of equity in shared resources among grade levels and not operationally efficient as other options. So this is just another summary slide. You've seen this, and this is more something that when you have the presentation, you can kind of look at a comparison of the costs of each of the options now with option 8 added at the end of that. And of course, if you choose to post this on your website, everybody will have access to this and be able to see that summary. So that was kind of it in a nutshell. Once again, if you have any high-level questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But if we're going to give this presentation again in the work session, we'll try to make sure our engineer is there to answer any engineering-related questions specific to the HVAC.
Could you share that with the entire board in an email?
Sure. Yeah, I believe you have a link to that on your website. Email the whole board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yep, I'll do that.
Information or questions?
I have a question that might be a little bit unusual.
Okay.
But you do this for a living.
Yes.
You talk about elementary schools for a living. Obviously, you've seen situations very similar to ours. When school districts are getting ready to do projects like this, have you ever seen any sort of public surveys to get a pulse on what the community truly values or finds important? And I'm not even necessarily saying like which option they would pick, but to get an idea of what the community values to help us in guiding that. Have you seen this sort of thing occur?
Absolutely. Yeah. We've done a plethora of different ways to what we call public engagement, whether it be we did have the meetings in 2020. At the end of 2020, we did have a series of public meetings where they were special public meetings where we presented the whole study and did that. But you could certainly do online surveys, whether we can assist with putting them together, or you might have your own software to do that in-house. Thing you gotta make sure there is that it's controlled so that it's just district. A lot of times you see these surveys and people from Florida are commenting on it or whatever.
Right.
Or you could do we can even do live interactive surveys during a presentation where people can get on. We use a software called Mentimeter where we can ask a question up on the screen. Whoever's here or whoever's watching remotely can be on their phone on the app and just put the answers live right there. We've done, workshop sessions or informational meetings. There's all kinds of different ways to do that. But yes, to answer your question, yes, it's very common to get that additional input. So.
Well, I guess we'll digest this and hopefully have questions for the engineer when he gets here. So, Scott, thank you for that, and sorry about that little bit of confusion tonight.
No worries.
Okay, with that, now we'll move on to the public comment section of the meeting for residents and taxpayers to make comment on actions before the board, past actions, any matters of deliberation. We'll give 3 minutes of unpaused time to address this.
Okay. Hi, Tina Marie Klein, 1009 Toole Street, Montoursville Borough. To piggyback on what the student representative said about academic decathlon, I think they kind of undersold their achievement a little bit because they're on the team as well. But not only did they place overall first at districts, they won first place in the super quiz relay, so make sure you check out the trophy that's in the display case in the main hallway. In addition, from an individual standpoint, they brought home 37 individual event medals, 14 gold, 19 silver, and 4 bronze. They mentioned that they're going to the state competition this weekend. Both Kayla and Zach are part of that team, as well as my daughter Sarah, along with Christian Smith, Riley Brennan, Lainey Messina, Melody Rezatarski, Austin Cummings, and Eddie Brown. So they are going down to compete with that. Second thing I wanted to comment on was just a general comment related to the COVID cases and just absence instruction. Loosely relates to agenda item G2. You guys always tend to hear people coming and being negative at you, so I wanted to give a shout out tonight because while it's been challenging for all the teachers, I specifically want to acknowledge Mr. Nathan Gilbert, a social studies teacher here at the high school. He does a great job in posting his class materials, including instructional videos, note-taking guides, homework on a daily basis on his Google Classroom, and he responds very promptly to student communications. Our family has had to quarantine twice this school year, and by far, his was the easiest to keep up with. So just to kind of shout out there. General comment related to previous board meeting minutes, which were approved. Once again, I see that our superintendent is not here. And with the appointment of an assistant superintendent, which I'll comment on further in just a minute, I really feel that appointment is going to further distance her from the parents and the taxpayers of the district. And it also begs the question, you know, once we have an assistant superintendent that's hired, what exactly is our superintendent doing? I find it very disturbing that she has not been at public meetings for quite a long time. Regarding the appointment of Principal T to the assistant superintendent position, as I and many other individuals have stated in previous meetings, I really don't feel the district needs an assistant superintendent. We do need a curriculum director, very badly. And although curriculum is listed as part of the position responsibilities that's outlined in the contractual agreement and the performance evaluation form, it really requires a dedicated person, a truly dedicated person. And I know Principal T has an extensive background as a principal, does a great job. I know he has a background in teaching at the secondary level. And maybe it's just that I'm not aware of qualifications, but I was a little concerned about, do you have the experience and the expertise for the primary grades, particularly with curriculum being such a need and a portion of that job description. So thank you.
Everybody does such a great job at doing this. I don't, so I'm going to read mine. I'm going back to reading again. Brenda Oberheim, 192 Woodland Court. I'd like to address the compensation and benefits requested by Mr. Taramina. The agenda states he would like to have his child attend Montoursville at the taxpayer's expense. I personally had to move to this district or else I would have had to pay tuition for my children 6 years ago. In the past few months, there were many taxpayers that spoke against an assistant superintendent position even being considered. One after another, during public comment, parents said no to an assistant superintendent and yes to a curriculum director. That fell on deaf ears, and now here we are. A few years ago, Mrs. Basin wrote her own contract, and this board approved it. She has never been ashamed to ask for anything she wanted, and that included most recently an assistant super. Our district can't afford to continue to play Santa Claus to the superintendent, nor should we to the new assistant superintendent. If we approve this cash exemption for Mr. Taramina on top of his over $100,000 salary he would receive, I'm sure teachers would become more disgruntled than they already are due to administration spending more money on personal wants instead of on educating the students. Those employees who do not live in district will only want the same benefit Mr. Taramina would have. Is that what you're considering? Would all MASD employees be entitled to have their children attend our district tuition free? Secondly, please take into consideration that along with a new curriculum director, we also need new curriculum, which is very expensive. This board has recently approved a new assistant superintendent, new tech equipment, and is also trying to decide what school renovations should be completed. Please take time to consider what is a necessity and what is not. before putting more burden on current taxpayers and future ones until 2041. Thank you.
Jack Callahan, 113 Arch Street, Montoursville, PA. I'd like to mention this is a nitty-gritty time of the year for football, or baseball, wrestling, and basketball. And we have 3 wrestlers at states. I didn't hear anybody mention that. And I hope they get a real welcome when they come back from states. Anyways, I was going to bring my Booster Club calendar here and show it to the people. It had Tom O'Malley when he was the youngest player in the National League on the San Francisco Giants. And the Booster Club calendar, for those that you don't know, lists the people's birthdays if you paid for a calendar. The wedding anniversaries, like when council meets, when school board meets, when the Legion meets, and so on. Well, we don't have that now. And I'd just like to throw this in. Whitey McCloskey, he was the legendary basketball coach at Danville High School. He had a thing down there where he would contact every school named Danville in the United States and do a free throw contest. And he would also have an all-star basketball game down there every year. And the one year Jimmy Valvano played in it. He was a coach at Bucknell, and they had an older guys, and then they had the high school game. Well, they had things like that, and we used to have right here at the Montoursville, we used to have a basketball game against the faculty, and it would be jammed, you know, at the old gym. We played like the Harlan Diplomats, the Harlan Satellites, the All-American Redheads, and then we also had donkey basketball, which was a little bit dangerous. I know what happened to Ted Strine. He hurt his elbow pretty bad. And I don't know if you're familiar with that. You had to score on the donkey, but some people carried the or the leash or whatever on the donkeys for the basketball. And then there was a guy that had a shocker like that would make the donkeys when they wouldn't move. So I don't know if they could, bring something like that back. But I don't know. I mean, they didn't hurt the gym floor because they had.
Jack.
Huh?
I'm not cleaning it up.
Hey, if you lived in New York, you could sell it and make a profit. You remember when the circus used to come to New York?
I think it's here, Jack.
Yeah, people would line up to get that stuff. So, yeah, that's what. I just throw this stuff out, and Whitey McCloskey's son-in-law is Jim Campbell. Used to run the School of Hope, and Jim Campbell's son is a part owner in the Crosscutters up there, just to add a little bit of flavor to everything and that. And so I don't know. Everything's exciting around, but I don't agree with the PIAA the way. I can't get into any of the games. I mean, I don't have a phone that will do it, and somebody would print something up for me, but I got other problems. The car couldn't make it. But I think our school should open up and assert that the PIA, that you think they're wrong in doing what they're doing by charging people $8, $6 a ticket, $2 covers, and to print that. I mean, what's it prove? They're making a little bit more money. But there's people like me, I can't do that. So I'll admit I can't do that. So I'd like our school to get behind, or whoever, talk it over with these other schools and say, hey, we totally disagree with you with the way you're selling these tickets to these athletic events.
Thanks, Jack.
Hello all, I'm Daniel Rogers, 1644 Quaker State Road. Dear members of the Montoursville Area School Board, my name is Daniel Rogers, and I'm a 2019 graduate of this beautiful high school, and I'm a current Smeal College of Business student at Penn State University Park. Recently, a Montoursville student asked me to show them around Penn State's campus for a first-hand look at the opportunities that our business school at Penn State has to offer. While enjoying the day and giving back to Montoursville and our students, I learned some of the news that stopped me in my tracks. I stand in front of you today as one of the selected students in Penn State's Accelerated Masters of Accounting program. This program has fierce competition, making it difficult to envision myself in the program without the business classes I was offered while at Montoursville Area High School. Furthermore, after having 4 years of Montoursville Area High School business courses, I was part of a 3-person team that placed first in the state of Pennsylvania for FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, led by Mrs. Kaiser. This accolade stood out and furthered my opportunities at the next level in college, and today no students here have the same opportunities to take 4 years of business courses. In my Masters of Accounting interview, I spoke about each business course I had taken while in high school and the strong foundation in business that those classes set for me. Without these courses, I would have struggled to set myself apart from the other accounting students at Penn State University. And the problem here is that these classes have been revoked and the students no longer have the same opportunity that I was given. By not offering these classes, you're taking away the opportunities that students had just a few years ago, and this is a tragedy that should not rest easy with any of you. Montoursville School District and its board should want to promote, educate, and breed business leaders to grow this community. Cutting 3 entire classes in marketing, management, and managerial accounting is a poor way of growing our beautiful little town. I strongly ask each of you to work with the high school administrators to stop this great disservice that this district is doing to current students. Please install all previously offered business courses for a better future from the Montoursville Area High School business students. Thank you.
Pamela Nelson, 225 Bennett Street. I wasn't going to speak, but I want to piggyback off what he just said. I have a 10th grader that's going into 11th who, that's one of the areas I've found frustrating in the last few years. She's really leaning towards a math career, and she's had the chance to explore the maths and the sciences, but the business classes just haven't been there. And I'd like her to be able to explore that side of math to figure out what she wants to do. And in scheduling and everything, if there was one class offered, it just didn't fit, and generally the one that fit ended up getting dropped the next year. They didn't offer it. It was like, I thought you were taking a business class. Well, no, it didn't get offered. So I have found that very frustrating, and I would like to piggyback on that, we used to have a pretty good business program, and it seems to have gone by the wayside.
Seeing no one else approaching the podium, then we'll move on now to the business manager's report. Our business manager left today for the, yesterday I guess it was, for the Pennsylvania Association of School Business Officials, an annual workshop they have down there, so that's why she's not here tonight. So with that, there won't be a report, but we have item A on the agenda, the general fund and cafeteria treasurer's report. And I assume that the board has had a chance to review that. And with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve those reports as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions that, I'm not sure whether they can be answered, but hearing no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Then we have the presentation of bills. I assume the board had a chance to review those, and I think there were some questions. We got some answers on that from the business manager. So with that, I guess we'll entertain a motion to approve the bills, and we'll do a roll call on that, of course. And we have a second.
Second.
Any questions?
Yes. Check number 62578, NRG Controls for 200 access cards. Are we having a problem losing access cards, or why? Or do we have access cards that wore out? Why are we buying 200 access cards?
We had, this is our second run of those, and we just about like the last 30 or so, with teachers moving in and out, coaches moving in and out, when they're printed out with their name on, they're done after that. If the teacher or coach leaves, then we need a new card for somebody else. So that takes cards, and probably got 220, 30 now available. It'll probably go 2-3 years. So
You can't change the names on the cards?
they print it on their name, and there are also some that do go bad with people, whatever they do to them once in a while, but it's per building. I got it's only a couple $100 per building to try to maintain those new teachers and coaches and things.
The next question I have probably won't get answered, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. 62,588 for QBS is listed as travel. I'm kind of curious why it's listed as travel when it is training. It was a cost for training some teachers, so I'm curious why it's listed as travel.
I saw that too, and my guess, one, is that just how it's coded, but and it might be a broad category, but I don't know for sure. So that's one for Bandy when she gets back, and I'm sure there's an explanation why it's coded that way, categorized that way.
And check number 62,585 is for lights and equipment. What are the lights and equipment for?
That's for the Black Box Theater, and that was paid for by a grant from the Montoursville Foundation.
Thank you, Mr. T, because that was my next question.
Completely
2 in
covered.
1.
All $35,652 of it.
Wow.
That's it.
Okay. Any other questions that might not get answered? Okay. All right, with that then, we'll go for a roll call vote here. Mr. Albert, nice to see you, and what your vote on this is?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Badger?
Yes.
Dr. Beery?
Yes.
Dr. LeCrone?
Yes.
Mr. Schimmel, yes. Mr. Snell?
Yes.
Mr. Ulmer?
Yes.
And Mr. Young?
Yes.
Okay. And that is Okay, moving on now to the superintendent's report, and with that we'll go to the administrators, and we'll start off with Mr. Myers and see what he has for us tonight.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We, just to give you some updates, there's a lot going on at the middle school. We celebrated Tuesday, day 2/22/22, with a lot of festivities. Thank you to the Builders Club. They had a toothbrush and toothpaste drive. They wanted to collect 222 items. Well, they went way above that, and they collected 725 toothbrushes and toothpaste per drive. So thank you to the Builders Club and all the students. Mrs. Simpson's 5th grade class gathered 160 items. And they'll get a pride party for that, so congratulations to them. Check out our link to our PBIS Montoursville wear. We got some cool items on that, and we use those funds to further support our positive behavior and support plan there at the middle school. Our homework club and our intramural club started this week. Homework club was on Monday and Wednesday. We have about 30 students participating in that after school. And then we have intramural club that started this evening. We have about 30 students participating in the gym with some basketball and some other festivities. And then 30 students in the weight room going on, so that was pretty cool. We have 3-on-3 tournament going on here March 18th. And I really want to take a shout out to our winter sports students, athletes. We had Telly Bobatis, Christian Banks, Hayden Harvey, and Gage Wenzel qualify for the PJW State Wrestling Championship, so they did really well this past weekend. And shout out to our cheerleaders. They've been going to a lot of competitions and really doing well, so congratulations to them. We just recently had a science fair. Congratulations to Ruby Watts, Catherine Hiddle, Paige Rosenbaum for winning in display, and Adam Shear, Isaiah Pepperman, London Williamson for investigation. So congratulations to those students. And finally, we have several students that participated in math counts, with Walker Wood qualifying for the state math counts competition in Harrisburg here on March 19th. So he's one of the top 4 students in the state. So congratulations to Walker and his family. And again, it's really fantastic to have all these opportunities for kids in person now at the school. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. King.
I really have nothing to add. The students, reps, and Jack kind of stole my thunder. So, the 3 wrestlers that are going on the states, we had 1 regional champ, 1 runner-up, and 1 student who took 4th. Wrestler who took 4th. So, good luck to those guys.
And there's Mr. Youngkin over there. I almost missed you. Sorry.
Apparently I need to get some student reps here so I don't have to talk. Our PBIS program is strong and kicking. Big prize this month is we got students getting ready to try to earn a trip up to Fly World, take them up there for an hour. I'd like to thank Todd Jean is volunteering a bus for us to take those kids up and drive that bus so we don't have to worry about that cost. So that's pretty awesome. I thought it was kind of crazy. We did that, this little idea of a candygram and selling blow pops for kids for a week, and we did them every day, and it was kind of cool to see the kids give back to each other. And by the time it was all said and done, we were making trips to Sam's Club almost every day and sold over 2,000 blow pops that the kids bought out there. So that was a pretty cool event to see. Last time I was here, we started about the start of the Random Acts of Kindness. Kind of sweetened you guys up a little bit with some chocolate. That went off great. Mrs. Weiler did an awesome job with that. Mr. Tressler was out, I say it must have been about 2 weeks ago, and went over worm farms with some of our students. And there's something about those high school kids coming into our building, and we got to make that happen more with those elementary kids that just motivates them. We're contemplating, and Dan and I need to talk about this. One of our next PBIS things is like a mystery dinner. So, we're really kind of leading towards maybe trying to get some of those high school kids that are recognized on the football field, baseball field, and the concerts and in the shows. Get those kids out there for our elementary kids to maybe have a special lunch with, because they really seem to feed off of that more than anything that we do with them. PTO is in the process of trying to put together our own little fall spring festival, kind of like they do at Leiter, to have out there at the Valley. Not really looking to do it as a fundraiser, looking to do it more as a community event, just now that we're kind of getting out of this COVID thing, get some of the community members out and about there, get some games going on, and just some good fun activities. Included a flyer for all you. Mrs. Bear did an awesome job with Dr. Seuss Week, Reading Across America Week, different themes every day, did different things with the kids every day, so a huge shout out to her. Last thing I want to comment on, and I'll take some credit for this, is being new to everything. Last board meeting, you guys accepted those retirements. I kind of kicked myself in the butt for kind of not speaking up. Over 81 years of teaching we're losing out there at the Valley. Mrs. Bear, Mrs. Jean, and Mrs. Taylor, who through conversation I figured out was my 4th grade teacher when we moved here from Hughesville. I had it for half a year. But just a huge thank you to them. I know talking with kids that they've worked with, how appreciative are their efforts, and the parents kids they worked with, how appreciative they are. And speaking with their coworkers and the guidance and support they've provided to everybody at that school for the last 30 plus years. And for me coming in fresh out there this year, all 3 of them have been a huge factor in helping me, and huge leaders. So I just wanted to make sure that they were recognized a little bit more for all the service they've done out there. So that's what I got.
Thank you. Sebastian, do you have anything for us?
I have nothing to report tonight. Everything is going very well in the tech department.
Okay. Mr. Nafo, how about you?
I did it with that. Everything's going well.
Mr. Henry.
Yeah, we're at the beginning phases right now in the special ed department with the Pennsylvania Post School Outcome Survey. The purpose of the survey is to determine for the state as a whole the extent to which our students are achieving their transition outcomes that are listed in their individual education plans. So to do this right now, we are going to be surveying our leavers, which are students that are graduating, have dropped out, or students that are aging out. And we're going to be asking them questions that go along with their post-secondary education and training goals, as well as their employment goals and their community living goals. And then we report this information to the state, and then next school year, we follow up with all of those students to see how well they're doing on obtaining their goals. And as a state, we then look at our transition skills and what we can improve on and what we're doing really well there. So we're at the beginning phases of that. We're also starting the Pennsylvania Alternate System of Assessment, and I talked about that at a couple meetings ago. The testing window for that opens on March 14th and continues through May 20th. And the Alternate System of Assessment is really taking a look at English language arts, assessing that, mathematics, as well as science, depending upon the grade level of the students, to kind of mirror the PSSAs. And it's a computer-based assessment test where the teacher as well as the assessment coordinator will be sitting down with the student and kind of helping them through that process. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Camino.
They all covered it, so we're good. As you can see, things are very much back to normal for the high school.
Okay, thank you, folks, for those reports. We'll move on now to the agenda items. And item G1, that approval of agreement between the district and Lycoming County Emergency Management Agency and the American Red Cross of Mid-Central PA. And we had an attachment that described that agreement. We have a motion on that.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ayes have it. And G2, discussion, general discussion on district COVID case data. We know that there will be some additional information session with the superintendent in a few days. Any thoughts on that, or want to wait till you get some more information to see what your thoughts are, or?
Yes, I'd like to get the information and then go from there, once I receive it, if it's satisfactory.
Okay, and then you can always be adding that to the agenda for the work session or the next meeting, sure.
And Dave, I'd actually like to see a vote, after we get the information and go over it. I'd like to see a vote where we as a board instruct the superintendent in the future to supply us with those numbers and to supply us and the public with those numbers.
We know that aggregate data at this point is acceptable, so that's the kind of data it would be, aggregate data, yeah. All right, then how about after did you want to do that tonight, or do you want to have that meeting and then next meeting then see what the nature of the report might be, or?
Right,
I'd like to see the nature of the report so I
Yes.
know what numbers I'm looking at.
Okay.
And understand them before I make a motion to present to the public.
Sure.
And also to make sure we're getting the numbers that we're asking for.
Yeah, okay. All right, then we'll pick it up again at either the work session or the next regular meeting, whichever seems to fit. So, okay. All right. And with that, we'll move on to the P section for personnel. I think P1, 2, and 3 can be combined together unless someone needs its separation because of a name in any way. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve P1, 2, and 3.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And then P4, approval of the following long-term professional position for Diane Oliva, special education, from the dates there as you see in the agenda. So do we have a motion for that?
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And then P5 is a slew of changes to the coaching staff for the year. You see them all listed. We'll take another look at them for a second, and anybody would like to make a motion on approving those changes?
Move to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Are these stipends predetermined? Something that we've gone off of before as far as what assistant coach for which sport gets?
There's a base salary, and then if there's any years of service, there's a number added to it. So there is a base.
Okay, so we have a calculation that comes up with this number. It's not just decided upon.
Out of it now.
Okay, thank you.
There's a system.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Regarding that, Mr. T, maybe you know the answer to this. After that base, if a coach, let's say a coach was coaching track and field, and then went to, we'll say, baseball, was approved to go to baseball, does the years that he was a coach for track and field get tacked on to his new position?
Not necessarily. It would have to be compared to what baseball is. So that assistant couldn't jump above the head.
Well, I realize that the base would be different because it's a different type of coach, but when that person was a track and field coach, and he might have been there for 5 years, so he was above the base, when he moves to a different type of coach, does he start at the bottom of that base because he's never coached that before, or?
Generally, yes.
Okay.
But not always, but generally.
Well, you say not always. Don't we have a policy that we follow?
There is a spreadsheet we follow. There is no policy that we follow on. There's a spreadsheet with base numbers.
If there's no more questions, then all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. P6 is approval of the following retirement from a member of the support staff. That's Linda Raleigh as our library aide after 21 years of service. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Any questions? Other than congratulating her and thanking her for 21 years of service to the district, we offer that to her. So, all right, all in favor then say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And P7 is approval of following resignations from members of the sports staff, and we have Ashley Stackhouse and Kim Rockwell as paraprofessionals resigning. So, do we have a motion?
Second.
Is that Joe?
Second.
All right, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And lastly, item P8, approval of Daniel Fermin as the Assistant Superintendent, effective July 1, 2022. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Questions? Discussion?
Comments.
Comments?
I want to start out by saying I have nothing personal against Mr. T. I think he's a great principal for our high school. But this is about common sense and fiscal responsibility. We do not need an assistant superintendent. We need a full-time curriculum coordinator that is dedicated to the curriculum in the elementary schools, the middle schools, and the high schools. We need an experienced curriculum coordinator. Nowhere in this job title does it say anything about assistant supervisor, curriculum coordinator. Although it's mentioned in Appendix A, on October 12th, the board voted 5-4 to establish the position of Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Communication. That was the job title that was approved. This contract calls for a base salary of $117,000 with increases of an average of $2,200 over a 3-year period.
Wrong.
No, not wrong. If you take the 3 years,
Never mind, you're right.
included in the contract is a bonus every year of up to $1,000 on top of the yearly raises if the evaluation warrants. Yet in this contract, the Montoursville district taxpayers are required to waive tuition for all dependent children for this contract and in any successor agreement. Do teachers get a waive? Do custodians get a waive? Do secretaries get a waive? I don't think so. If somebody making $117,000 per year can't afford the tuition, maybe the children need to stay in a district where he lives and pays taxes. And like I said, Mr. T, that's not anything personal. I think you're a great principal, but it's about common sense and fiscal responsibility.
You would look at it that because you knew this was a good employee, that maybe there would be a benefit as an administrator that you'd give them, Ron. I mean, that's kind of sad how shallow your line of thinking is.
Like I said, and I'll say it again, we do not need an assistant superintendent for a district our size. We have a superintendent.
Where is she?
Amen.
Where is she?
She's not here.
Why?
We've been asking.
That is all the more we need to know.
We asked
She's
and
not
asked.
That's
here.
fine, so.
That's where it needs, that's
That's fine, I have no problem with that, but here's the other side of it. I will play devil's advocate to what you just said. Okay, so here we sit, not knowing what is going to be coming our way here in the future as a superintendent. What is we doing as a district right now to take care of the things that need to be taken care of? What are we doing? Who's taking care of it? Who's taking care of the things that need to be taken care of as far as what's happening within our school districts, with the teachers, with the students, and with all the other stuff? Who's taking care of it? Who's doing it right now?
Well, we're paying somebody to do it.
Who's doing it though?
Let's, hey
Good
folks.
question. We're paying somebody to do it.
Hey folks.
The taxpayers are paying for
That's
somebody
right.
to do it.
Gentlemen,
At the high school level, who do you think is doing it?
Gentlemen, we're breaching into the area of personnel. That's not where you go in public. You know that it's confidential items. It's handled in executive session. Let's retreat from that. We shouldn't be there.
We need transparency.
You're not gonna
All right.
Transparency.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
that's a good
now,
one.
the only thing I'd say about the money is, you think about it, in terms of percentages, those raises are sub-inflationary. They're sub-inflationary. So,
Well, the thing about it is, like I said, Mr. T's a great principal. He does great with the kids. You move him out of that position, and guess what? There's another employee we need to hire to take over where his spot becomes empty.
and I think all of us knew that that was the implications. We've got more work to do.
Well, what needs to be done is to hire an experienced curriculum coordinator that can devote his or her full-time to the curriculum.
Well, then if we vote on this, and if it's voted down, then I guess we can go back to doing that. Then we can retreat and regroup and maybe just go that direction. So we've beat this up pretty well. Any other comments? If not, I'm ready to call for a vote here, folks. All right, and I'll do a roll call on this. So on P8, Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Badger?
Yes.
Dr. Berry? Dr. LeCrone?
Yes.
And others absent. Mr. Schimmel, yes. Mr. Snell?
No.
And Mr. Ulmer?
Yes.
And Mr. Young?
No.
Okay, motion passes 1, 2, 3, well, 6-2, I guess it is. Okay, moving on to transportation. Item T1, approval of promised land busing rates in the amount of $27.5792 and $3,023.65 for February 2022. We had an attachment to that end. Do we have a motion on that?
Approved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. And item T2, approval of the following addition to the substitute school bus aids list for 2021-2022. Christian Tawny with Promised Land Busing. We have a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a second.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Ayes have it. Okay, that finishes our agenda items. I guess we'll move on now to committee reports. Dr. Mathers is, of course, absent tonight. Policy Committee, Dr. LeCrone, anything for us?
Nothing to add tonight.
Okay. Dr. Beery, anything on the IU?
No,
Okay.
later this month.
Okay. LCTC, we did meet, and just, I mean, it's going, going well. The new director, Mr. T's had a chance to meet with him, I believe, or your folks, and we're pleased with him very much. So, just to give you I'm going to say flavor. I don't mean a pun because it has to do with the culinary program, but they were. In the past, prior to COVID, they would have served lunches all the time and have meals available pretty regularly, and it went well and it worked well. Except now they quit during COVID. Now they're regrouping to say what are we going to do in the future, and they've realized that it took so much time to run that little small business that the kids probably weren't learning how to cook as much as they should have. So they're going to scale that offering for meals at the VOTEC way back, so the kids can, strengthen their cooking skills. So just I guess a little bit of a idea of what goes on there for some of the program changes they get into sometimes. So that's all. See, we're on to Memorial Gardens, Mr. Ulmer.
By the end of the month, the fundraising campaign will be publicly announced. I think there is going to be a newspaper article in the Sun Gazette appearing sometime after the 23rd. The goal of the campaign will be about $200,000, so it's going to be a major drive, but the board's aware of the renovation that needs to be done, and there's also some additional funding required by the perpetual care area.
Thank you. And budget?
Work session.
Work
2
session.
weeks. Randy can finally release the information.
Okay.
Release the caution.
Yeah. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Albert.
Another report.
Okay. And the foundation, we don't have a representative yet. And extracurricular, Mr. Badger.
Nothing to report.
Okay. With that, then we'll move on to the public comment section to close the end here.
Before we do that, I know you sent out an email requesting just exactly what we wanted in the, as far as the easers. When will we get that report?
That's a good question. I got your comments, and I got received comments from Dale. I think and I haven't heard anything else, so that sort of tells me how it should be, crafted. So I'll get with Christina. I honestly, Ron, I'd be surprised if we saw something. We won't see it before the work session. I doubt it, but we certainly should be able to see something by next regular meeting. Okay.
And that information will be made public.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, it's public data, you bet, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My suggestion, Ron, was that we actually devote a work session to it, so we can have information about ESSERs 1, 2, and 3 given to us. Dave sent us out that information. I know from a budget standpoint, I could see where ESSERs 1 and ESSERs 2, the areas that they were looking to spend money in, but there wasn't anything for ESSERs 3 yet.
No, you're right, it wasn't, no.
And we also got money from the county that needs to be, we need to know where that money was spent also.
Again, I felt that it was worthy of a work session being spent on it, and suggesting maybe April or May, something in there that we could get past the budget.
Well, actually, I think it needs to be released before.
Well, April would be, if we did the work session, that would be held ahead of the final budget approval.
Okay.
Dave, I don't know, I keep forgetting to ask, but Mr. Myers, like over at the high school, or at the middle school, the presidential awards that they used to, where they used to do the push-ups, and they're no longer doing that, correct?
They haven't been, no, but.
Is that something that we can look into, possibly
yes.
to get that reinstated for the spring?
Yes, I'll check with Mr. Marion and Mrs. Hackett.
Because I've had several people that have been asking about that and would like to see that put back in play. And I'm sorry if I had a turn here, but I keep forgetting to ask, and I want to make sure I got that. Well, that's whatever.
Okay. Okay, then this time now we'll begin the public comment section, and again, anything you have to offer?
Jack is back.
Hi, Jack.
I'd just like to mention, I'd like to, we have a lot of talented musicians, and then kids know what they're really doing, and I'd like to see a pep band at the end of the cheering section that could fit right in there. I'm not saying every game, but some games, or they could, maybe the group of kids that we had a pep band when I was in school, and they were jammed into the little bleachers and all that, but I don't know if it's legal. I'll give you everybody the benefit of the doubt. I was up a couple of years ago up to Loyalsock, and they had one up in their balcony, but I haven't seen it at any of these other schools. I haven't been around very often. I'm pretty limited. And also, I'd like to see maybe a sign at the games, whether it's wrestling or basketball, and next home game or next match, when it's listed, who against, next home match. And then I'd like to see a list of, maybe the players, the basketball players and wrestlers up, so you could tell who's wrestling. I don't, I keep asking, who's that, who's that, who's that? I don't know. No programs in that. Then I'd also like to mention Rod Stewart. I think everybody, you might not be old enough.
Oh,
You aren't old enough, okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Is he? All right, Rod Stewart's gonna be down in Hershey. I didn't bring this up out of the clear blue sky. His backup singer is from Montoursville, the Miller girl.
Oh.
I'd love to see her, I don't know her, but I mean, I'd love to, see him. And Cheap Trick is gonna be the other band back there. And that, and so, whatever, that's just the thing, it's August 20th, Hershey, and that, I don't know what day or whatever that is. And anyways, another guy asked me, he was down at the library, the Montoursville library, he saw those, the Arrowhead newspaper, and he asked me where he can pick one up for, they had the one for the flight, that down there, but he wanted, and I tried to explain to where you go, but I wasn't sure where he would go at the school to get them. I tried to describe where the superintendent's office was, but I don't know if it made out. He's an alumnus. He's a little bit older than I am.
We actually don't do paper publications anymore because they kept clogging toilets and people getting hit with them. So we only do quarterly on occasion, and otherwise it's online. If you go to the Montoursville School District, click on schools, high school, and then there should be a link that says the Arrowhead.
He's older than I am, but he's probably smarter. That doesn't take much. I don't know how to explain to him what you just said, so I'll just say, I don't know. Online.
Something that could be linked off the main district page, like, how you have announcements, talk about like the play next week or whatever, kind of at the banner at the top. Is that something they could link off? Because if members of the public want to see that, tell you, we can navigate it, we have kids here and stuff like that, we know where to go, but if somebody from a member of the public is trying to do it, that might be nice to link off the main page.
Yeah, especially because it's one of our links to the public. It'd be a good one to have a fast link to, so yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one more thing. They used to have bonuses for the athletic team's coaches. And they got to be everybody, they were winning everything. The cheerleaders got bonuses, the cheerleader coach, the band director, and you also take into account the assistants. Well, that was years ago, not too many far years ago back, but they did away with that.
Well, that's a personnel item, Jack. We can't discuss that.
Yeah, but no. I'm not here to bring it back, but they brought up bonuses and that, and I don't know. It's none of my business, even, and I don't think it hurt the coaches that much, but it helps, it helped them. But they took it away from the coaches,
There's been nominal sums paid for the overtime involved in those tournaments, so yeah, we've approved some overtime money, you might say. Not bonuses, but just the fact that they put in extra hours for that extra postseason work.
They went like the wrestling coaches down at States, and in the other years the basketball and so on, the football went on, and track and field go to Hershey every year, and so I don't know if they're, and I don't care. Good more power to them if they're getting paid.
Okay, thank you.
So Jack is back. Klein likes wine, just so you know. Really quick, and I don't want to get into personnel issues because there are things that are confidential, but I will say at some point when things become unreasonable for the district and it becomes a burden on the district financially and it starts negatively affecting student outcomes, learning outcomes, the district has an obligation to look at the situation and act accordingly. And again, I will say, where's the superintendent and what does she do?
So I'd like to directly speak to Mr. Ulmer for trying to shame Mr. Snell. Mr. Snell spoke
Speak
for
speak through me.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Snell, Mr. Schimmel, Mr. Snell spoke
I can only stay
for
quiet
so,
long.
I feel that way too. And I listened to the whole meeting and I was pretty well behaved. So I'm gonna ask you to be quiet while I speak. You got your vote. We're not happy with it, okay? So let me have my public comment and let me speak. Thank you. So Mr. Ulmer tried to shame Mr. Snell, and all he's doing is speaking for so many of us. Again, I personally like Mr. Snell, do not have anything personally against Mr. Taramina. I think he's a great principal. But being fiscally responsible with our district is a very important thing. And I understand. You don't have transparency. She hasn't shown up since, you know, people say, where has she been? It's been since September. Well, I understand people do have medical issues. I know that you can't divulge them. We're not asking you to divulge them. We're asking her to. If she can't do our job and it's costing our district more money that we don't have, then either show up, get what needs to be done, or move on. That's what needs to happen. So please don't shame the school board members that are standing up for what we believe and what we want for this district. Because the last time I checked, we're the parents, and our opinion should be the most important, and you're supposed to represent what we want, not what you want, and that's not what I'm saying from Mr. Ulmer. Thank you.
So on a bit of a lighter note, I personally have known Miss Raleigh and Miss Bear very, very well. I go to the library all the time, and I'm sorry to see her go, but I'm very happy that she gets to retire and gets like a nice happily ever after that she deserves. And the same with Miss Bear. I remember in like second grade, I didn't even have her yet, but she still helped me out with stuff. And I couldn't be more thankful for those two teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I haven't been here for quite a few months, so I am behind the times on some things. And I wish the superintendent well, whatever's going on, if there's a medical issue or whatever's, I don't know. Again, I'm just going, whatever's alluded to, I hope everything's fine. I do know, going back even a while ago, that people were saying, why are we not hiring a curriculum director? And maybe that's been discussed as to why you made that choice, one choice versus another. If that information's somewhere as far as why you chose to go one direction versus another, I'd love to see it, or have it discussed, you know, again, financially, just personnel-wise, whatever. We need a curriculum director. We've needed one, and adding other positions. Like, where are we going as a district? I know budget discussions are coming up, but, you know, building, and then we have positions we need. Again, the business, you know, positions and classes aren't being offered, so I'd like to see a plan as far as where the money is coming from, where the plan is as far as positions are going to be, and how you're looking at doing all of these things. Thank you.
No one else approaching the podium, then we'll close this public comment section. And
Mr. Schimmel.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make one comment. I was elected to this board by my constituents. Decisions that I make on this board are decisions that come from what my constituents, their feelings and what they would like to see happen. I don't vote on this board for anything to benefit me. I vote on this board to benefit my constituents because that's why they put me in this position. So I just want to say that I know a lot of people here don't like the way I vote and might think that it's personal. but it's not personal. It's because I'm doing what my constituents asked me to do, because they are the ones that put me in this position.
And I have to say the same thing about me. I'm here, I'm listening to my constituents, and I'm voting the way my constituents offer opinions, and I have opinions that agree with the vote. Sometimes I have opinions that disagree. But I listen to my constituents as well.
Okay, board, if there's nothing else for, needs some attention or discussion, I'd entertain a motion.
I have one more thing,
Yes,
Dave.
sir.
Ron, are you implying that board members are
No,
voting?
no, he's speaking for himself. He's speaking for himself.
No, I'm speaking to Ron. I'm asking Ron a question. Are you implying that there's board members that are voting for themselves? Are you implying that? You said it.
No, he's speaking to, he votes for his, I understood what he
Wait,
said.
hey, don't sugarcoat this.
I don't,
Okay.
there's no need, this is not, again, this is not some kind of inquisition. This is a board meeting. We're off topic here.
All right.
We can grill
How's
each
that
other.
off topic?
Let's grill each other out in the alley or something. Okay, not during them, all right?
First of all,
I will call for a motion to adjourn.
First of all, I didn't
I'd like to-
point
I'd like
out
to-
fingers at anybody.
No, you
And,
didn't.
and if you feel guilty, then so be it.
Hey, Ron, Ron, I
Really,
agree.
Ron?
See, there you go.
There you go, Ron.
Oh,
Transparency, Ron?
All right.
That's
You
right.
ain't brought transparency.
This meeting is suspended.
Suspended.
This meeting is now suspended by the board president.
Good.
So, gentlemen, if you want to go outside and talk and then come on back in, we'll call for adjournment.
He said talk.
Hey, we just have a different opinion.
We certainly do, but we're not going to let it get out of hand. This is crazy. So, if we're ready to regroup ourselves, we'll reconvene this meeting and I'll call for an adjournment. Motion to adjourn. So, are we ready to reconvene? All right. I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
A second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good night, folks. Thank you for coming.
You've done it before.